friends, you're welcome back to the Afro Food Diary. My name is Geraldine. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, you are welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. My name is Geraldine, like I said. I make my recipe videos from Norway, and on this channel you get recipes and just everything about our own very foods. Okay guys, yeah, with little tiny little bits of varieties where it concerns food here and there. So guys, in today's video we'll be making pepper soup. Not just any pepper soup, but goat meat pepper soup. So sit back, it's going to be a yummy one. And do not forget to hit the like button after or while watching this video. And let's get into it. Pepper soup is one delicacy that Nigerians boast of, and consists mostly of meat. Reason you can see me wash and lay the goat meat I'll be using for this recipe nicely in the pot. Yeah, I just have in this pot different parts of the goat meat, and they are thoroughly washed, like I said. Pepper soup can be made with beef, can be made with cow tripes, cow food, even fish. Yeah, it's mostly a hot soup made mostly of protein and then spices. In this video, you will see how I make pepper soup with goat meat. Okay, so having shown you our meat, which is the major ingredient, every other thing will be the spicing. Okay, if you visit the Nigerian market, there is something they call pepper soup spices already mixed for you, but here I'm going to be mixing mine myself. This is a African Negro pepper, or what we call Oda in my dialect. I showed you that just so you can see what it looks like, but I have the powdered one and I've just scooped a teaspoon into that ramekin cup. The next important spice is the one we call ehuru, calabash nutmegs. Yeah, this is what it looks like whole, but again I have the ground one in this nylon, so I'll be scooping in about a teaspoon and a half into that ramekin cup as well. Okay, so the quantity you use depends on how much meat you have. Like in there I have about a pound of goat meat, or a pound and a half. So now that I have my ehuru and oda in that ramekin cup, the next important ingredient is crayfish, which I have there. I have some salt in here. Of course, I'll be taking as much as I need to my taste. I have seasoning cubes. I have 2 medium-sized purple onion bulbs and a big thumb of ginger, fresh ginger. Then it's called pepper soup. Reason a lot of people who tolerate a lot of pepper use a lot in this soup. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be using Habanero pepper, which I showed you. I have some dried rosemary, some mixed dry spices, some paprika powder, and some curry powder as well. So we'll be using vegetable oil as well. Another thing I almost forgot to show us is this plantain. I decided to last minute add this plantain just so it be filling for the rest of my family, but you can make your pepper soup without it. You can also use yam or potatoes. The next thing I want to do, which may sound a little crazy in this recipe, is that I want to blend all my spices together and sieve it into my meat. Okay, on this particular day, I don't know, I'm looking for something very smooth. I wouldn't want to even see the tiniest crumb in the soup when it's done, so I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different for this recipe. But that doesn't mean you can't add yours chopped or roughly blended into your pepper soup. I have about 2 other pepper soup recipes on this channel from before where I sliced up my stuffs, you know, and it still turned out nice. It's just the mood for today and to show you that you can actually do something like this. So meanwhile, after cutting up the other spices, I'm going to be using about 1.5 teaspoons of the dried rosemary. Okay, and then of course I'll rinse and pour in the crayfish. Here they are, and I'll go ahead and blend it up in a bit. So of course I blended the spices with some water, and here I went ahead to sieve it, like I told us earlier, into the goat meat. Yes, you want to use enough water to cook your meat and still leave you with some soup behind. It's called pepper soup, right? Yeah, the juice, like the soup, the liquid part of this dish is actually a very huge part of it, if that makes sense. So what I'm doing here is to carefully sieve out all the goodness in that blended spices, rinsing it out with some water as needed. I went ahead to add some salt, about a teaspoon of salt, or half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of curry powder, half a teaspoon of the mixed spices, and about a teaspoon of paprika powder. This pepper soup is going to get its color from our paprika powder. So yeah, you can see I've sieved out every single thing from those spices, and I saved the excess fluid should I need it later on during this preparation process. So once I'm done with the mixing it in together, I'm going to let it start cooking, and the prep time for this particular one took me somewhere around 40 to 45 minutes to get it to the point where I would want it to be. I love my pepper soup meat very tender. Okay, so you watch and check when your meat is as tender as you would want it to be. Okay, and you taste as you cook along the way. Okay, so meanwhile I'm going to be cutting up this plantain just to add to this soup, but it is not compulsory. You can use yam, you can use potatoes. Myself, I had just the meat and the soup, yeah, but the rest of my family, they needed some extra stuff in it, and I decided to use that half ripe plantain. It's not totally unripe, although the outside looks very green, but inside it's a little bit soft. Okay, so once the meat was almost cooked, I went ahead to toss in the plantains, because it would take somewhere between 6 and 10 minutes to get that soft as well. So next I added some paprika powder just for extra color. I'm not using palm oil for this, so paprika powder serves to give us that hint of nice color. I also added a few drops of the vegetable oil. So next, I didn't show us these vegetables because they were in the freezer, but you need Utazi. Utazi is the bitter one. I added like an equivalent of 2 leaves of Utazi because you don't want to overdo it, and then a handful of chopped scent leaves. If you have watched my other pepper soup videos, you know I adore those 2 vegetables when it comes to pepper soups. Okay, there's just this special taste they give. So after I added that, I covered it up and allowed it to cook for good 10 minutes until the plantains became very soft. And here we have it, our goat meat pepper soup, and the family enjoyed it. I'm sure you will too. And let me show you something I do very quickly. If you have any issues with this fat that comes out from meat, or maybe you cooked and you discovered it has some oil on top, what you can do is just let it cool down completely. Or maybe like in my case now, this is like a week after I had frozen it, this part of it. So what I would do now is just to scoop off that oil or that fat before I enjoy my pepper soup. So feel free to give it a try and let me know what you think about it. I appreciate you as always for being here. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.